time for random picks number 7. This time it's Chris4127basket in Switzerland, who has made a very nice selection of 5 records here. And I have to say, these mixes that have been picked during the earlier random picks videos, some have been interesting, some have been weird, some have been a bit but I have to say, this bunch of 5 records that Chris4127basket picked is probably the best one in my book. The best because it shows my music taste in a very good way. And also there are some favorite artists that I have lots of records with that I wished would turn up in these random picks, and now finally they have. And we're going to start with the 78 RPM this time. And it's this metronome 78 RPM from 1952, I think. And you may recognize the name there, Alice Babs, the Swedish jazz singer who later sang with Duke Ellington. And we have Povel Ramel, the singer, songwriter, entertainer, comedian, altogether musical and entertainment genius. He was also an author. He made stage shows. He made movies. He made TV series. He made everything. And most of all, he really had a fantastic talent of playing around with the Swedish language, even constructing new words. There's a Povel Ramel Appreciation Society, and I'm a member of it. There has been doctoral theses, how do you say that in plural, written about this singer-songwriter. And I've been very happy to be mentioned in one of the theses, in one such thesis. So I may say, others may not agree, but I'm a bit of an expert on Povel Ramel, the Swedish superstar of the 1940s, 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s. He passed away in 2007, 85 years old, and he was active, well, up until the last couple of months. This is a Christmas record. It's called The Big Jule Blues, The Big Christmas Blues, and it's part 1, part 2. It's a medley of different Christmas songs, but with new lyrics, often quite comical or making a bit of parody of the Christmas styles, and also in a bluesy, jazzy manner. Another guy who isn't mentioned on the label but who is on this recording is the comedian Martin Ljung. Now, Martin Ljung, he came from the town called Luleå, and I'm from that town as well. So he's a man that we are very proud of up there in northern Sweden. And as a kid, I used to play with my best friend quite close to the actual place where Martin Ljung worked many years before he became an artist. He was a blacksmith, so he knew how to work with his body. He was a blacksmith, and he later moved to Stockholm and became an artist, a comedian, a singer. He had a deep bass voice, and he's also one of the best comedians Sweden has ever had, especially when it comes to monologues. So, very good pick. Also, another thing that's interesting about this record is that although it isn't by far Povel Ramel's most known recording, it's not a recording that most people have heard of, especially not as a Povel Ramel recording, but it is without doubt the most common record. It's quite easy to find. It must have sold every Christmas, new issues of this, and sold for several Christmases, because it's still very easy to find. And it's on the Metronome label. He was on that Swedish label for a couple of years in the early 50s before starting his own label, Knäpp upp, Povelrammer that is. It's from 1952. Right. I talked a lot about him, but of course he's not as well known internationally as he should, but he mainly wrote in Swedish, so that's not that strange. But the next guy, I don't think I have to introduce him. I don't think there's a... I can't imagine there's been one VC member hasn't heard this guy. Elvis. Elvis Presley. A Legendary Performer, Volume 2. I think there were 4 issues in the Legendary Performer series. This is an American pressing from 1976, and it has this sleeve with a hole and a nice picture of Elvis on the inside. And I'm not sure if it's the case on all of these Legendary Performer issues, but there were lots of previously unreleased material of these issues, and it's a lovely issue, and it has this embossed sleeve. Let me see if you can see it. Very nice, like a wooden finish. And on this album we have the unreleased Sunmaster Harbor Lights from 1954, and maybe it's his first recording he made. And we also have previously unreleased alternate takes by I Want You, I Need You, I Love You, Blue Suede Shoes, unreleased live version, an unreleased tune from Flaming Star, Kane and High Starch Color, unreleased live versions of Blue Hawaii and Baby What You Want Me to Do. So, truly for the record collectors. And these Legendary Performer issues have their own label, on their own black label that looks like this. Some of these were issued as picture discs as well. I've got 1 or 2 of them. Although I'm not that interested in picture discs, but I found them for almost nothing, so why not? Elvis, the king, now and forever. Right, over to another era of music now. Back a bit in the years, we're back to the 60s, or no, 60s, what am I saying? 30s, of course, 1930s. And we talk about Fletcher Henderson. This I Grandi del Jazz is an Italian series of jazz recordings. Quite good. I think it's done together with CBS. Very nice issue with nice sleeves and lots of texts with images about the music. Very nicely presented. The only drawback, of course, is you have to know Italian to be able to really read this, because it's written in Italian. It's an Italian issue, but lots of nice pictures. I've got several albums in this I Grandi del Jazz series, and I have to say, good transfers and label looks like this. And Fletcher Henderson, great arranger, great band leader, very pleasant early swing, late Dixieland in some cases. Definitely worth checking out if you're curious on jazz and early jazz. So there we go. First we had some of the Swedish Povelrammer, we had Elvis Presley, we had jazz in the form of Fletcher Henderson, and now over to some Irish folk music. We have the Dubliners on stage. This is a recording, I think it was issued first on Transatlantic, I'm not sure about that. This is issued on the Sonnet Grand Prix label, which is this blue-green Sonnet label. And they mainly issued budget LPs. They all looked like this. But never mind. The Dubliners were great, especially the guy to the right that I admire. To the right here, Ronnie Drew. Very good voice. Looked like an Irishman. Sound like an Irishman. And yeah, I love the Dubliners. Rest in peace. I think they're all gone now. The original Dubliners. Not sure, but I think so. Alright, and finally, I like to talk about music coming from my part of Sweden, where I grew up, northern Sweden. I don't live there anymore. I left that part of Sweden 6.5 years ago now, and I don't really feel that much going back, but I have to say, I'm very proud of much of the music that was made there. I talked about this group, this folk music group, Norrlåtar, before, but not this LP. It's called Framtidshopp, Hope for the Future, with this lovely sleeve, with this painted cow. No, not painted, a painting of a cow, not a painted cow. I've also talked about the record label that was very active up there, Manifest. And this was also issued on Manifest. Yeah, another thing that I like with these and many other records from the time, that you have the notes of the music and lyrics and chords. If you want to write the harmonies on guitar, and if you want to play yourself, to make sure that this music keeps on living. This is Norrlåtars, I think their 4th album from 1980, and the last they would make for 5 years. After this, the group was reformed and transformed with some new members. This was more traditional folk music. They became more experimental later. So I'm very happy about that pick too. I have to say, maybe for the first time, I feel that I can say about all these 5 picks that they represent something that's very relevant for me in my music taste and my music collection. So great picks, Chris4127basket. And I hope you like this too. Bye bye.